Howdy, I'm Bobby Brooks and I'm the student body president.
My name is Jose Nidio. I'm a senior technology management major and I'm part of MSC SCOLA, which is the Student Conference on Latino Affairs.
I'm Tommy Vu, and I'm an officer of CADET, which stands for Cultural Awareness Diversity Expansion Team, and it's a special unit in the Corps.
My name is Samuel Austin Carter Evans. I am from Atlanta, Georgia.
My name is Ed Costello. Currently, I'm a lieutenant with the Texas A&M University Police Department.
I'm Oliver Wayne Satbury, Jr. I'm a resident of Bryan, lifelong resident. I currently am the curator for the Brazos Valley African American Museum, and I'm a former student.
So the outside perception of the university, I knew that it was kind of a conservative university, and so that was kind of something that was interesting for me going into it, because I had a secret that I hadn't really shared with anyone. But I knew that my dad had survived at the university, and my dad had talked so highly of it and of the bonds and camaraderie that you could find, that I knew that it was worth the challenge of making myself work there.
I saw that Texas A&M was more of a conservative institution. As far as my perception of it, I would just say that I saw it was a conservative. I saw that it maybe been some racial issues here and there throughout the history, and maybe in certain things that they do and certain traditions. They have a lot of traditions. I saw midnight yell and things like that. It just made me interested. I've never been one to shy away from any opportunity or anything due to race, someone being conservative or different views than me, because I feel like everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So I just ran with it.
I have to be honest, the first couple of months, there was a really big culture shock. Because I'm from the Valley, there's a very high percentage of Latinos, and you kind of feel like the majority there. And when I came here, I actually never felt like I was part of a minority. So I would say that it wasn't until I joined SCOLA and KMAC that I kind of felt more at home, that really put me in my comfort zone. So at first it was a little, I guess, uncomfortable.
It was mixed. It depends on which part of the community you're talking about. The black population had a totally different idea than the white population. It was A&M was a dominant employer, economic base for the community, so they felt real good about the university. Some blacks worked on the campus and they felt good about the university. But as far as education went, we couldn't attend the university. So we didn't really get too involved in that aspect of the university. But over time that changed, and I'm glad that it did.
The first controversial event that I recall happening at Texas A&M was the incident of the group of students that had come to tour the university, and someone had approached them and made racist comments to them. That was the first thing that really stood out to me about this university, and that was kind of like a shattering moment of your perceptions of, wait, do other people get different experiences than I do? And I was already aware of that to a certain extent, because I knew my experience was different than a lot of others, but it just said, whoa, it keeps getting deeper, and it's always going to be deeper.
Shortly after I started going to school down here, I remember the collapse of the Soviet Union. The Berlin Wall came down, the Cold War ended, and there was just a whole new era of communication. I remember at the time I was, as a political science major for my bachelor's degree, I remember that there was so much speculation as to how the former Soviet Union would stack up and what would happen next. And I remember that there was an influx of students that were coming in from a large part of the Eastern European countries that previously had been shut off from the West and had not really had so much of an exchange of students. But I remember that we had quite a few more students that were coming into programs and things from that part of the world, because it had all opened up.
There was so few of us that nobody would talk to us, and that was one of the big problems. We had to talk to each other. Well, none of us took courses with each other. So if your concern was dealt with a course, then that was a problem. So hopefully we're overcome that.
I know people say, you know, you have the short end of the stick being a minority. Well, I look at it as a big end of the stick because there's so many opportunities out here for African American male advancement. Of course, we understand that there are systematic things in place for me to not excel, but I don't even see those. I don't even see barriers or anything like that. So I kind of implement to my other black brothers that, hey, bro, you know, of course there's stuff here. Racism going to be here, maybe to the day we die, but we have to understand that as a unit we're stronger. And so as me being a black male, I just understand that there's stuff out here that might stop my shine, but I'm going to shine bright regardless.
I think A&M has done a really good job of kind of allowing these student programs to run their own events that kind of showcase how proud they feel about their culture.
So recently, President Young in the past few years has definitely made statements to make A&M much more inclusive. And so through the projects that I've done, I've sought out for Cadet, I've done diversity meet and greets with all the offices, and I'm also doing undergrad research in anti-racism curriculum right now. So I know that there's so many programs on campus that currently exist, and so it's just more about you as an individual, as an A&M student, as a faculty or staff member, to seek out the programs that already exist and help support them. And most importantly is to be an advocate yourself. So in the way that you carry yourself in the discussions, start those hard conversations that aren't really brought up and raise awareness to include more and really understand and be empathetic towards each other.
I think the main thing that we can do is sometimes pause and take a moment to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else, to understand what it is that they've experienced, to see an issue or a topic or a controversy through their eyes so you understand what it is, where they're coming from. I think that goes a long way to helping us kind of empathize with one another. If I'm solely focused only on how I feel, then it's a little bit harder to understand where you're coming from and what's your perspective on this. And I think anytime that we choose to try to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, then we're putting the needs and the feelings of somebody else ahead of our own. And I think that's always a good thing. I think it's a good thing to spend some time and try to see where other people are coming from, to understand their experience. And when you put the needs of somebody else ahead of your own, I don't think it can go wrong. I tell my freshman self to open up a little bit more to people outside of what I experienced growing up. You know, look at how other people live and the things that they experience in different countries and even different parts of here. I mean, how I grew up is not how somebody else grew up, and it's so wonderful when you come to a university that is diverse, that you have people that don't have the same life experience as you, and you can learn so much from how they experience the world, and they can learn from me how I've experienced the world, and it kind of helps us kind of see each other's perspectives a little bit better.
So my freshman self, I knew I came in with nothing to base on or any help or support. I kind of was the only one that came from my high school. And so 2 years later now, this year, I know that I need to focus and balance my priorities and really go for the things and the people that make me happy. Because building that support network helps you so much. It doesn't matter how much you're going through and what you're going through. As long as you have people around that support you, you can make it through anything.
Stay the course, to be very positive about why you're here. Don't ever second guess that, and just to sort of overcome. If you can understand what it is a problem with your being successful in your courses or in school, then try to seek some help in dealing with that. But otherwise, just give it your best shot.
So I want to encourage current faculty, students, and staff to kind of follow through with that and take those creative ideas in terms of how they can be there for the students, because being there for communities and being there for students on this campus is not always going to look the same, and it's not always going to be the prettiest version of the rules. I want to encourage people to be courageous in their advocacy and their developing of family and community.